evening. Welcome back to Rosalind Court. My name's Maureen Butler, and tonight, live with an audience, fantastic, we have Reg Meuross, which is really wonderful to have. Now, I hope you all know where you are. Do you know where you are? Yeah, and what you are doing, yes? If you notice on your tables, you have an agenda, yes? And Reg, if you could take the minutes, then, yeah, we can all sort ourselves out later. Okay. We've got the raffle as usual. Reg has kindly given us a CD for that. And for second prize, we have the Who Gives a Crap toilet roll. Yes. And please don't ask for the toilet roll rather than the CD. It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. Yeah. People who contribute to the live stream, to the chat on the live stream, they will be entered for the raffle. People who donate to Reg, because this is his job. If you're watching at home, please donate as much as you can, if you can. I know not everybody can, but if you can, please donate to Reg, and you'll see that you can do that by the running thing at the bottom of the screen. Everybody who's here, you've all been entered for the raffle. And hopefully one of you will win, which means that I won't have to post the toilet roll, which is good. I'm going to sing a song. So, you want to go to the toilet? Go now. This is Leonard Cohen's favourite Leonard Cohen song. And this week sort of reminded me of it. The birds, they sang at the break of day. Start again, I heard them say. Don't dwell on what has passed away, or what is yet to come. The wars, they will be fought again. The holy dove, she will be bought again. Bought, sold, and bought again. The dove is never free. Ring the bells that still can ring. Forget your perfect offering. There is a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in. We asked for signs, the signs were sent. The marriage spent, the birth betrayed, the widowhood of every government. Signs for all to see. I can run no more with this lawless crowd, while the killers in high places say their prayers out loud. But they've summoned up a thundercloud, and they're gonna hear from me. Ring the bells that still can ring. Forget your perfect offering. There is a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in. Okay, I'd like to introduce to you, please, Reg Meuross.
We used to go out in our town. We go to the pub till the pub shut down. They smashed the piano, no money for bands. Karaoke led the way, bland leading the bland. We used to go out in our town. The halls are quiet now, shows don't come around. Ran the bar, the place was full, council paid the fees. Corporate greed with slash and burn brought our culture to its knees. What would William say if he could see England today? What would William say? What would William Morris say? Hark the wind in the elm boughs, from London it blows and tells us of gold and of hope and unrest, of power that helps not, of wisdom that knows, but teaches not aught of the worst and the best. We used to see farms from our town, but now it's all a warehouse, industrial ground. Radio screams split the air, lame electric lungs. Lions all spit politics with poison on their tongues. What would William say if he could see England today? What would William say? What would William Morris say? The wind bears a message, rise up on the morrow and go your own way to the doubt and the strife. Join hope to our hope and blend sorrow with sorrow, and seek for men's love in the short days of life. Come back to the inn, love, the lights of the fire, and the fiddler's old tune, and the shuffling of feet. For there in a while shall be rest and desire, and there shall tomorrow's uprising be sweet. What would William say? What would William Morris say? Thank you. Thank you very much. That's a co-write between me and the 19th century painter, poet, writer, philosopher, wallpaper maker, William Morris, and a travel mug designer, I found out recently. sadly, William's not around to appreciate it, but after I wrote that song, I got a gig out of that song. I was invited to go and play at the William Morris pub in Walthamstow, which I thought was a good thing, until I got there and found out it was a Wetherspoons. And but nevertheless, in the time it took me to get in the door and ask if this is a pub where Reg Meuross is playing, I got a parking ticket. And I thought, well, there's nothing useful or beautiful about that. So William wouldn't approve at all. So I appealed and I won. Thank you very much. And because I found out that they have to wait 7 minutes, or at least they do in Walthamstow. And we waited about 7 seconds. So this next song is a song about a bit of a hero of mine, a man called Tony Benn. I did a few gigs with Tony Benn back in the day. And when he died, I was reading the obituaries, and I found out he was a big fan of the suffragette Emily Wilding Davidson. And Emily was the woman who was killed under the King's Horse at the Epsom Derby in 1913. But 2 years previous to her death, on the eve of the national census, Emily hid under the House of Commons in a broom cupboard. And the reason was so that the next morning, when asked to give her address, she could give her address as the House of Commons. One of the many things she did that led to the women's vote. And so Tony made a promise to the Speaker of the House that he would make a tribute to Emily, but he wouldn't tell anybody what it was. And he had a plaque engraved with details of her overnight stay, and then he went down and he screwed it to the inside of the broom cupboard where Emily spent the night. And I found out recently he was assisted in this heinous crime with Jeremy Corbyn. So Jeremy is bad after all, but in a good way, I'd like to think. And so, for want of a snappy title, this is called Tony Benn's Tribute to Emily Davison. She slips through the doorway, away from the crowds down the stairs. She steals through the night, just a plain-looking woman, concealed in her coat and her cares, pursuing her right. Down a tangle of corridors, furtively turning the laws, the day growing dim. Footsteps in the distance, she hears the men coming her way. The last door gives in. There in the dark with the mops and the brooms, she opens her handkerchief, makes herself room with a small piece of bread and a small piece of cheese and a jar filled with water between her knees. By the light of a candle, she reads a small book and she waits. And she waits. On the 3rd day of April, 1911, she woke, and she gave her address. These houses are commons, houses of men, and now me. She smoothed down her dress. I'm not asking for favors, just claiming what's rightfully mine. cried to the world. To rebel against tyrants is to show your allegiance to God. She cried as she fell. 100 years later, he slips down the stairs and he senses her purpose. He breathes in her air. He's made her a sign which he nails to the door. He knows the equality Emily gave her life for. By the light of a candle, he honors her flame and he waits. And he waits. And he waits. Thank you. Thank you very much. So this next song is a song called My Name is London Town, and it's a song I wrote. I lived in London for about 20 years, and then I moved out. I now live in the West Country in Somerset. I used to live in Winkley. I believe there's somebody here who knows me from Winkley. Is that? Do you live in Winkley now?
I live in Winkley now. She was born in Winkley. She lives down the road now.
Ah, well, I lived there very briefly. Winkley is in Devon, by the way, and I wrote a poem about Winkley. It's called the Winkley Nose Poem, and I can remember possibly the first verse. In a wardrobe in Winkley there dwells a nose of length and breadth gigantic. 'Twas found, they say, marooned in a bay upon the shores of the great Atlantic, all big and bulbous, all bulbous and big. Without doubt 'tis the snout of a thingamajig, cried the clerk, absent-mindedly fondling his wig and adjusting his wife, who resembled a pig. It goes on for quite a long time, so you won't get any more of that. But anyway, Winkley, my father-in-law still lives there. I'll tell you where afterwards, maybe. So I moved to Devon, Somerset, that's where I now live. But when I lived in London, and so I wrote this song, and this is just some sort of snapshots really of the time I spent there and some sort of memories of things that occurred. And when this came out, it got some plays on the radio, and as a result, I had some emails of complaint, all from the same bloke actually. Quite a lot of emails he sent me, and I thought anybody who gets that upset about a line in a song is clearly dangerous. So I answered him, and but I won't tell you what he was complaining about. I'll leave it for you to try and figure it out, and then I'll ask questions at the end, if I may. So here you go. I've been struck by the wind coming in from the east that strips the grey river and stretches your skin. I've been choked by the engine and choked by the beast, breathing fire and pollution and pleasure and sin. I'm the cry of the girls from St. Catherine Docks. I'm the cry of the Smithfield fishmonger at dawn. I'm the sharp-suited broker who steals like a fox to the stock exchange floor to sell coffee and corn. My name is London town. I'm your vision going up, I'm your nightmare coming down. I'm the Westminster fool, I'm the Pentonville clown. My name is London town. I'm the bundle of rags in the Oxford Street doorway, ratted and matted and shivering with cold. I'm the homecoming sunset that lights up the West Way. I'm the Union flag, I'm the red, green and gold. I'm the dome of St. Paul's and the Regent's Park Mosque. I'm the Temple, the Arsenal and White Hart Lane. I'm the bomb in Victoria, the fire at King's Cross. I'm the 9 o'clock donkey and the 10 o'clock train. My name is London town. I'm your vision going up, I'm your nightmare coming down. I'm the Westminster fool, I'm the Pentonville clown. My name is London town. I'm the immigrant town, I'm the city of night, of carousel dreams, of beauty and pain. My streets paved with gold from the bold highway meters, Dick Whittington's ghost in a no-turning lane. My name is London town. I'm your vision going up, I'm your nightmare coming down. I'm the Whitechapel murderer making his rounds. My name is London town. My name is London town. Well, any complaints? Smithfield, yes, exactly. Smithfield, because I sang Smithfield Fishmonger, of course, and Smithfield is a meat market.
Well, that's outrageous. I'm leaving.
Well, when I lived in London, this was pre-current licensing laws, the only place you could actually get a drink at 3 o'clock in the morning smelt of fish. I remember that very well. And so I looked into it and I found out that Smithfield was actually built as a meat and fish market.
Hurrah!
And it was a fish market when I lived there. So you can imagine how smug I felt. And, he was so apologetic, he bought 3 copies of my CD, so I recommend. But since I've been inviting people to suggest what the offending line might be, I've had complaints for practically every single line in the song. And the other day a guy just said, Arsenal. I said, what's wrong with that? He said, I don't like them. And it's apparently some kind of football sacrilege to put White Hart Lane and Arsenal in the same line. That's not good. Stockbrokers aren't keen on the line to stockbrokers stealing like a fox. Although I just thought it was a figure of speech, but maybe not if you're a stockbroker. Maybe it's but my favourite complaint to date is came from a very posh chap in Bristol who said, "Could it be your name's not London Town?" Some sort of lateral about it. She grabs a cup of coffee, drops the kids to school, pulls into the car park, but every place is full, so she blows an hour's wages on a public parking lot. That's another little piece of her the government has got. The drivers sit in silence, clutching mugs of tea. "What's up?" she says. "No beds," they say. "It's a state of emergency." So she pulls her coat around her, puts her headphones in. There's only room for music underneath this skin. She's the queen of soul, the diva of distress. Compassion makes her whole. She's an angel in a blue, blue dress. A brand new friend is dying. Last night her best friend died. If it wasn't for the music, she knows she would have cried. She knows about the sickness, the loneliness and pain. She knows what doesn't break her will soon come round again. She's the queen of soul, the diva of distress. Compassion makes her whole. She's an angel in a blue, blue dress. She's the queen of soul, the diva of distress. Compassion makes her whole. She's an angel in a blue, blue dress. Thank you.
Hi, just a little message to the people who are watching at home. There's quite a lot of you at the moment. If you'd like to donate to Reg, the link is running along the bottom of your screen at the moment, and that will mean that you are entered in for the raffle, which is very exciting. And if everybody who was watching this evening gave £2, it means that when Reg leaves here this evening to go to, where is it you're going this evening? Somewhere
To Somerset.
Somerset, somewhere ridiculous. Yes, he could stop off at
get a
a
sandwich.
service station and get a vegan sausage roll, or something even more delicious. So thank you very much, if you could please. Thank you.
I think it's one of the few places, service stations, where the more is less. But I'll certainly find a good way to spend it, so don't worry. This next song, a few years ago now, I discovered this thing called the Rural Touring Scheme, the National Rural Touring Forum, NRTF. And at the time, I was working with a guy called Hank Wangford, who's an English country singer. And me and Hank decided we'd go off and we'd do a tour, just the two of us. And so we discovered this scheme, and it took us all over the country, and Scotland and Wales, all over Britain. And we started out in a tiny little place. Well, we started out in Cornwall, that's right. And our show then, we had Hank had this new album out, and it was called Best Foot Forward. And the picture on the front of the album was a picture of Hank on a horse, dressed as a cowboy, with a cowboy hat and playing a little ukulele. And we thought, well, that's a great on-the-road image. So it's a painting. It's this huge, great painting. So I photoshopped myself onto the back, playing a banjo. So there you go. And for some reason, the artist hadn't painted a head on this horse. No idea why. It was a headless horse. Nothing visceral about it. It just stopped at the neck. But apart from that, a beautiful painting. But if you're a fan of horses' faces, not so great. Anyway, so for that reason, we decided to call the tour Hank and Reg Head Off. Get it? And that was our tour. So off we set in our car to do all the village halls of England and Scotland and Wales. And we, after a while, we played in this tiny little village on Exmoor called Luckham. Anybody from Luckham? I asked that question a while back, and the guy said no, but I knew an old lady from Luckham. You'll have to finish it yourself. I'm far too polite to do that, so, but I did do it. Couldn't help it. And so Luckham was a we actually drove past the hall 3 times. We thought it can't possibly be that. That's clearly a public toilet. We're not. Do they know who we are? And but it was. That was a gig. And so we took our PA, our speakers and stuff, carried them into Luckham Village Hall, carried them back out again. Won't be needing those. Tiny little place. And that night we played a gig to a heaving Luckham Village Hall. And at the end, we're celebrating with a glass of wine, and the promoter comes up to us and he said, "Well done, lads." He said, "Luckham Village Hall holds 28. You actually only had 25." So we had to face the fact that we'd reached a point in our careers where we were playing a public toilet on Exmoor and we couldn't even fill it up. So rather than mourn this fact, we decided we would celebrate, and we changed the name of our tour to No Hall Too Small. And that was our tour, and we did. We started out, we were just going to do a year. We ended up doing about 4 or 5 years, me and Hank, because it was great. It was wonderful to get around, see the whole of Britain, basically, way out to the Highlands and everything. It's fabulous touring. And the very last gig we did was in Doncaster, and not really a village, is it? It was just outside Doncaster somewhere. The next morning, we decided to get some breakfast. We'd go off and find some breakfast. And the only place we could find open was Morrisons Cafe. Not recommended, but nevertheless it was food. So we headed off to Morrisons Cafe. And we're sitting there, and I see this person who, to this day, I don't know what gender this person was, but I'm going to say she, because she was wearing an Elvis Presley wig, Elvis wraparound glasses, a showbiz fur coat, not any old fur coat, a proper rock and roll fur coat, and then nothing on her legs but some Argyle socks and some winkle picker shoes. And she came over and she sat down next to us, and a table next to us. I said, "Hank, look, it's Elvis. He's alive and in drag and having lunch in Morrisons Cafe." And Hank's taking pictures, and then I see this other person who looked very much to me like the 1960s, 70s singer-songwriter Phil Oakes. And this character, he had the kind of same sort of haunted look that Phil had. This sort of sadly, Phil, contemporary of Bob Dylan's, died in the 70s, but this guy looked like Phil might have done it had he survived. And he had this sort of straggly hair, and he was wearing a little corduroy cap and a corduroy suit with flared trousers, not the kind you see anymore, you know, or probably ever seen, but might have been just the thing in Greenwich Village back in the 60s. And he comes over with his little tray, and he's sitting with Elvis. I said, Hank, look, it's Phil Oakes. He's alive and having lunch with Elvis in drag in Morrisons Cafe. And Hank's discreetly taking pictures. And so I came away from that episode with this kind of line in my head. And it took me a long time to actually write the song. I wasn't sure whether I should or not. And in the end, I did. And so this is it. And it's called Phil Oakes and Elvis Eating Lunch in Morrisons Cafe. In case there's any confusion with anything. And it does have a chorus if you'd like to sing along. And if you'd like to sing along at home, be my guest. If you know Phil's oeuvre, you'll know that his big hit was There But For Fortune. Sadly not for him, but for Joan Baez. So when we get to that bit, that's the chorus. So do pay attention, and then we'll all sing it together. You know, the weird thing about this screen, I don't know if people can see this, but I've got a COVID screen in front of me. I don't know if it's to keep me safe or you, but it's working. I can see myself in it, and I can't think of any other live performance situation where you could actually see yourself. I remember I've done a few festivals, big festivals, and I remember doing Cropredy, and actually there you could see yourself on these massive, great big screens, but you had to do this to do it. And you, if you're ever at Cropredy, you watch the artists all going, checking yourself out. You know, how do I look? Anyway, I'm there. So here we go. When she came and sat behind me, I knew something wasn't right. The dye had washed out of her hair, her face was pale and white, and the legs she shambled in on, beneath her shabby dress, were wearing alligator shoes and socks from M&S. A man sat down beside her, he looked familiar too, like a Greenwich Village poet, circa 1962. Dressed from head to toe in corduroy, wayfarers on his head, ignoring one another just like both of them were dead. There but for fortune and common sense, they say, Phil Oakes and Elvis eating lunch in Morrisons Cafe. Okay? There but for fortune and common sense, they say, Phil Oakes and Elvis eating lunch in Morrisons Cafe. In a wraparound dark glasses with a light adjusting lens, she was hiding more than tired eyes from onlookers and friends. There was something in those fingers that worked the forks and knives, as if they once worked magic in other people's lives. There but for fortune and common sense, they say, Phil Oakes and Elvis eating lunch in Morrisons Cafe. I tried to move in closer. There was a smell of Vaseline and a scent of faded legends just off the M18. For a moment life seemed simple, fear and pain were swept away when Phil and Elvis ate their lunch in Morrisons Cafe. There but for fortune and common sense, they say, Phil Oakes and Elvis eating lunch in Morrisons Cafe. There but for fortune and common sense, they say, Phil Oakes and Elvis eating lunch in Morrisons Cafe. Since my baby left me, I've found somewhere else to stay. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Reg, while you were having fun in Morrisons Cafe, Hank Wangford was actually Dr. Sam Hutt, my GP, and I was trying to have appointments with him.
There, the 30 stop out he was.
Yeah.
And, so, this is a song sort of around these parts. Bear in mind I come from the west, so everything east of Salisbury is these parts. And it's a song from the rural touring. We played, or I played, the Bluebell Inn in Hempstead in Essex. And the Bluebell Inn is the birthplace of the highwayman Dick Turpin. I was reading, there was facsimiles of the hanging notice for Dick on the wall. And I was reading it. Very quickly became clear to me that everything I knew about Dick Turpin was rubbish, and all the truth. Very different story. And he clearly wasn't the gallant, dashing, romantic fellow of legend. In fact, he's described on the hanging notice, which was contemporary with the execution, barely 5 feet tall, heavily pockmarked, and constantly drunk. So not gallant, dashing, or anything really. So the landlord threw down the challenge for me to write the true story of Dick Turpin, and this is it. It's called Lizzie Loved a Highwayman, and it all comes from the gallows notes, the truth, as far as I know, apart from one small detail, which was his ride to York. Probably one of the things he's most famous for is Dick killed a policeman, shot a policeman in Epping Forest. He was actually trying to, he actually killed his best friend first because he was characteristically drunk, but he reloaded and he shot the policeman, and then apparently rode overnight a distance of 200 miles to York on a horse. Unlikely, yeah, some horse. Some horse, or Phil Beer has a multiple horse theory, more likely. But rather than spoil a good story with the truth, Black Bess stays. Poor Lizzie loved a highwayman. She gave him all a young girl can, and in return he gave her widowhood. From the bell at Hempstead born to trade, a butcher's axe and a butcher's blade, and his childhood bride the picture made complete. But Lizzie's mother understood that boy would come to nothing good. An apprenticeship in bone and blood won't lead my girl to motherhood. But didn't he look fine in church today? In his buckled boots and his fustian coat and his feathers blue and grey. Young Richard joined the Gregorys, all Essex boys the lowest thieves. They robbed both rich and poor for greed and gain. They broke into their homes at night, regardless of their means or might. They'd rob or scold or set alight those poor souls who put up a fight. No honor bound, those desperate men, they robbed both enemies and friends. They sold their souls for liberty and gold. But Lizzie's dreams of home gave way to cold nights in a forest cave, to a husband who she couldn't keep, who killed his friend and ran away. On a stolen coal-black mare called Bess, they say, by a full moon's arc he rode to York, 200 miles away. With the bounty high he changed his name. He robbed the deer and the horse and game, and left his father to take the blame to jail. Till one day the landlord's bird he blew. The landlord cried, "Dick, I know you." And again the drunk his pistol drew, saying, "Let me charge and I'll shoot you too." From his prison cell he sent a note to his brother, and inside he wrote, "Fine men will stand good witness to my name." But he wouldn't pay the postage due. The letter fell to one who knew the writing of the one whose fame had brought the Turpin house to shame. But didn't he look fine in court today, in his buckled boots and his fustian coat and his feathers blue and grey? Dick Turpin paid 5 men to mourn. In new coat and shoes stepped out at dawn. Like a gentleman he bowed along the way. He stepped up to the hangman's gate, felt his leg begin to shake. He stamped the fear, and with his friend the hangman half an hour he spent. And with a proud and noble air he leapt from that 3-legged mare, and for a while he dangled free, his feathers kissed by morning air. But mother, didn't he swing well today, in his buckled boots and his fustian coat and his feathers blue and grey? Buried Turpin's body deep. But when the town was fast asleep, the body snatchers stole his corpse away. But an angry crowd, friends to his fame, in preservation of his name, saved him from the butcher's blade and laid to rest the highwayman. They gave his ring and handsome clothes away, and another woman's tears fell on his feathers blue and grey. Poor Lizzie loved a highwayman. Thank you very much. One more. Okay. I thought I timed that perfectly, but no, you want me to do one more. Okay, so raffle coming up. But in the meantime, I'll do this. Ooh. I'll do this song. It's a song I wrote for my children. I've got 2 children. And we sort of got to the point where they got to the sort of age where they realised there was a far more interesting world outside of our house. And so we, like all parents, said, you know, just give us a call, let us know where you are. And of course, my older child, Joey, got the hang of it straight away. Dad, 8 o'clock, I'm going to be home by 9, good boy. Lily, my daughter, not so keen on this method, and she. I was in America. I was in Dallas. I was about to go on stage at 8 o'clock in the evening, 2 a.m. in the UK, and my mobile phone rang, and it was Lily, so I better answer it. And she said, "Dad, I'm going to be late." I said, "Lily, it's 2 o'clock in the morning and I'm in America." And she said, "Yeah, I know, I didn't want to wake up Mum." You can't argue with that kind of logic. Lily has just made me a grandfather for the first time. She's just given birth to a beautiful little girl. So this is for them. It's called Worry No More. If you need me, come and see me. I will worry no more. And if you love me, go and tell me. I will worry no more. When you're down and on a low note, and your lifeboat's a man of war, just call me, I will hear you, I will worry no more. There are those who will always love you, there are those who will let you down. Just listen with eyes wide open, you will know them by their sound. When your dreams no longer flower and your power blooms no more, just call me, I will hear you, I will worry no more. It's a hard world, a pick a card world. What you deal is what you get. I've been cheated, but undefeated. Though I bleed, I am not beaten yet. Over mountains and stormy oceans, give your heart wings and let it soar. And call me, I will hear you, I will worry no more. Just call me, I will hear you, I will worry no more. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Could you possibly, very quickly, pull two names out of this van?
Oh, out of this van. Okay. Am I going to read it out?
Yep.
Or are you going to read it out?
You can read it out.
Ian Petrie.
Oh,
I recognise that name.
fabulous. That's Ian over there. Great.
Ian,
You've got the CD, Ian. Well done. Okay.
you've won the CD, not the toilet roll.
Second one.
Can't win them all.
Shay, yeah.
That's the first time I've been up against the toilet. No, it's not the first time I've been up. Sandra Hill.
Whoa, great. Well done, Sandra. Fantastic. That's good. She's actually at home this evening because she's not very well.
Oh, okay.
And but she's doing our live stream chat. She's the person who's looking after the live stream chat.
Okay.
Would you like to tell people where, all the people who haven't won your CD, where they can get your CD from?
They can get my CD from regmeuross.com. But if you're here, you can get it from that table over there. Don't want to miss out.
Excellent.
But if you're not, yes, regmeuross.com. If you don't have my CDs already, then that's where you can get them from.
Fabulous.
Okay.
Back to Reg for one more song.
Thank you. Well, I'm going to finish with a song I haven't done for many, many, many years. But I'm going to do it tonight because it's called On Rosalind Banks.
Oh,
And it's a song that I
Excellent.
wrote many years ago when I visited Rosalind Chapel. And this was before they restored it and you had to pay loads of money to get in. In those days, there was just a tiny little kiosk and a little old lady and she just took donations and you went in, it was kind of tumbling down. It was all full of scaffolding everywhere, but it was somehow much more exciting than it is now. But don't let that put you off. It's a wonderful place. But anyway, while I was there, I was taken down on a little tour around Rosslyn Chapel, and in the cave and in the hillside, there's this hole in the hill, like a cave, and so I was told this was where Robert the Bruce had his spider experience. If at first you don't succeed, try again. You know that one. So I found out later on that it was one of many thousand caves in Scotland that claim to be the Robert Bruce place. But nevertheless, it got its way into the song, so it's probably one of the only songs that isn't a folk song that refers to Robert the Bruce. But so this is on Rosslyn Banks. On Rosslyn Banks she held me close. The night came drifting round, and through the trees a soft rain fell, and the silver moon looked down. She said it was the evening's chill that made her hold me so, but in my heart I knew it was that I'd be gone tomorrow. Above these banks a brave man wept, and there addressed his pain. Faced with defeat, he made a vow to try and try again. And as I kissed the sweetest lips, I searched for truth in vain, and fearing she might love me less, I lied and lied again. Rosslyn Banks are a memory, and she is far away. I pray she'll hold me close again at the close of some sweet day. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. That was just wonderful. Well, we in the room, we're not finished, but I'm afraid you at home, you are. You have to go off and do something else now. But before we finish, I'd just like to thank Roger and John and Chris and Sandra at home with her new Luru, and Una at the bar in her pinny, hooray! And Lizzie and Danny and Gala Shields doing social media. Thank you very much. On Monday here, for the people in the room, not doing anything else on Monday afternoon, Paul? Clog dancing. Clog dancing, yeah? Yes. You can borrow some clogs to do it. It's very good exercise. It's great fun. I go and I'm absolutely rubbish at it. So I set a standard that you can enjoy. Next Thursday, we have Joe Solo, who is going to do a benefit for We Shall Overcome. So please, as many of you come to that as possible. He's a really fantastic performer. Clive's sitting there, he's organised it, yes. And we need to get as many people here as possible. We Shall Overcome is a wonderful organisation that gives money to people who have been affected by austerity. It's a very hands-on organisation. And he's a punk folk singer. Great. On the 29th, we've got a Robert... That's a good thing. It's a great thing. It's a great thing. On Saturday, 29th, we've got a Robert Burns open mic here, which I'm hoping you'll be. Yeah. Ben, are you coming to that? Yeah, I hope so. We might even have some haggis there, eh? On Sunday the 29th, on Sunday the 30th, we've got French Connection, which is singing and dancing all afternoon here. And on Thursday, February the 3rd, we've got the Power of Women Fringe event here with Angeline Morrison, January Girls, and Ruby Tipple, who is very, very popular around here. And I forgive her that, even though she's 16, and really very popular and very talented. It's really annoying. If she wasn't such a lovely person, we'd hate her. Yeah. So anyway, thank you, Reg Meuross. That's brilliant. We'll see you again in 10 minutes. Thank you, everybody at home. Thank you for supporting live music. We'll see you next week. Thank you very much. Bye.